These days, Holden is enjoying a rest in a hospital in California. It may not be paradise, but at least it's better than that crummy Edmont hotel. Let's hear how Holden spent the rest of his day in Manhattan after he checked out of that dump. After breakfast, Holden still had 2 hours to kill before his date with Sally Hayes, so he went for a walk. On the way, he thought about the 2 nuns he'd met at breakfast. He tried to imagine some of the women in his life being that humble and charitable. Fat chance. Holden was feeling pretty miserable again, and being on busy Broadway didn't help. He lifted his spirits by watching a sweet little boy ambling along and humming a tune. Buying a record for Phoebe also gave him a boost. Hey team, just a reminder, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It really helps the channel out, and our next upload could be on something taught in your next class. Thanks, and back to the video. He couldn't wait to give it to her. Now that he felt more positive, he tried calling his big crush, Jane Gallagher. But her mum picked up, so he hung up straight away. At least this helped him refocus on his date with Sally, and he bought 2 tickets to a stage show. He knew Sally would love it because it featured the Lunts. Holden got off Broadway and headed to the park to see if he could find Phoebe. She usually roller skated there on Sundays. When he got there, he found a little girl who was in Phoebe's class at school, but she hadn't seen Phoebe. With nothing else better to do, Holden walked over to the Museum of Natural History. That was a happy place for him. When he was little, his teacher took the class there almost every Saturday. The thing he loved most about the museum was that everything there was frozen in time. That always comforted him in a world full of change and upheaval. Strangely, when Holden got to the museum, he didn't feel like going inside. So he just took a cab to the Biltmore Hotel, waited there for Sally, and did some people watching. Or girl gazing, to be precise. Sally arrived late, of course, but Holden forgave her because she looked fabulous. On their way to the theatre, they were busy in the back seat of the cab. Holden got so carried away that he even told Sally he loved her. The show was okay, not thrilling. The actors knew they were good, which always annoyed Holden. During the intermission, Sally started chatting with some Ivy League guy she knew, who then started hanging around like a bad smell. This really annoyed Holden and made him keen to drop Sally home after the show. But Sally wanted to go ice skating at Radio City, so that's what they did. Except they were both terrible at it and ended up retreating inside from the onlookers. That's when things got hairy. Holden was in an anxious state and began ranting angrily about everything. Sally even had to tell him to keep his voice down. He admitted he was in a bad way and begged Sally to go and live with him in the woods. When she objected, he dialed up his rant and insulted Sally to her face. Naturally, she got very upset, and no amount of apologising could fix it. So he just grabbed his things and left her there. By that point, he was really questioning his sanity. With the whole evening free, Holden called up Jane Gallagher, but it rung out. So he phoned an older boy he knew from the Hooton School, Carl Luce. Holden didn't like Carl much, but he was very intelligent. Holden invited him for a drink at the Wicker Bar in the swanky Seaton Hotel. To kill time, Holden went back to Radio City to see a movie. He arrived during the stage show, which was fancy but corny. The best thing about it was the guy on the kettle drums. Holden's little brother Ali, who died of leukemia, used to love watching that drummer. One time, Ali even sent him a postcard from Washington. Naturally, the movie stank. It was a soppy war story, and made Holden think about the war all the way to the Wicker Bar. His older brother, DB, who's now a writer in Hollywood, served in World War II. He didn't have to shoot anyone, though. He just drove some army general around. DB hated being in the army, and Holden would too. He even hates reading books about it. Holden prefers novels like The Great Gatsby. Good old Gatsby, old sport. Holden arrived at the Wicker Bar early and drank scotch while he waited for Carl. As he observed the crowd, he noticed that there were quite a few gay men there. It reminded him of the sex talks that Carl Luce used to give in his dorm room at Houghton. Carl considered himself an expert on sexuality, and the other boys looked up to him. When Carl arrived, Holden tried to draw him into a conversation about sex, but Carl wasn't impressed and told Holden to grow up. When Holden kept pressing him, Carl recommended that he see a psychologist. Carl eventually got up to leave, and Holden begged him to stay, but it was no use. Holden stayed at the bar alone and got blind drunk. He even started living out his gangster movie fantasy about being shot in the stomach. At around 1 a.m, he paid his bill and drunk-dialed Sally Hayes. He slurred his way through repeated requests to help her decorate her Christmas tree until she finally hung up. Almost at the point of passing out, Holden staggered into the men's room and dunked his head in cold water. Then he just sat on the radiator, dripping wet and shivering. When the Wicker Bar's pianist came in, Holden tried to strike up a conversation, but the guy could see Holden was legless and kept telling him to go home. By the time Holden retrieved his coat and Phoebe's record, he was crying. The cloakroom girl took pity on him and made him put his hunting hat on before going outside. Out on the freezing street, Holden didn't know where to go, so he ended up walking over to Central Park South to see if the ducks were at the lagoon. Then, disaster. He dropped Phoebe's record. On the edge of tears, Holden picked up the pieces and kept walking. After a lot of staggering around, Holden finally found the lagoon and nearly fell in. But there were no ducks. By this time, Holden's hair was full of ice, and he was worried he'd get pneumonia and die. His poor parents, they'd have to stick him in some awful cemetery. This reminded him of when he'd visited Allie's grave and how it had rained. Holden hated to think of little Allie all alone in his grave and being rained on. It made him stop visiting. In addition to being alone, depressed, and dangerously cold, Holden was also flat broke, with nowhere to go. So, in case he died, he decided to walk home, sneak in, and visit Phoebe one last time. But would he really be able to slip in, undetected by his parents? Stay tuned to find out. We hope you enjoyed this Schooling Online production. For more easy lessons, check out our other videos.